What's up everyone, Anthony Online here, and today I am reviewing Rise of the Boredom. Sorry, Ronin. I gotta be honest, this has been one of the most boring games I have ever played, and mostly recently too. And frankly, I'm not impressed. I couldn't even finish the game, and I really wanted to get this review out and not delay it any further, but it's been delayed long enough. And I wanted to get this review out and basically talk about why I think it's not worth your money. And I know that there's this like stigma or whatever that all PlayStation exclusives are supposed to be amazing and best of the best. Well, spoiler alert, they are not all great. And with my experience here, I can tell you that Rise of the Ronin is one of those few examples where it falls on its face very harshly. And you really do expect with exclusive titles that more time and resources and effort would be put into it, but clearly not much here. And it makes me wonder, did Team Ninja not ask Sony for any extra help or resources? Did Sony offer it and they said no? Did they not offer it? What happened here? But some minor spoilers ahead for this game, but honestly, who gives a shit? Now, the game story is at times confusing and very uninteresting as well. One aspect of the story is you are searching for your Blade twin who has basically gone rogue, and you're trying to find him or her depending on which character you choose and what character you choose your Blade twin to be. And you're exploring throughout this really drab and ugly world. The story also has some larger world and political aspect to it, with missions giving you the option to choose between pro-shogunate and anti-shogunate factions, which doesn't really seem to matter, at least in my experience, because throughout your playthrough, you can choose either side to align yourself with and change back and forth. And I don't know how much the actions will change the outcome of the story, but apparently you can switch sides back and forth and fight a former ally or align yourself with a former enemy. And that makes the story very complicated to understand, very hard for me to really care about what's going on in this game. And it's a really messy story that I really didn't care about. And even with the whole Blade twin story thing, I really didn't care about that side of the story either. I don't care about my Blade twin and finding the Blade twin. It just doesn't matter at all. And with the characters in this game, because characters are just as important as the world that you're exploring when you have a detailed, engaging story to go through. But the characters are just uninteresting, uninspiring. I don't even remember the characters from left and right. I don't care about their agenda or the stance they take in this faction war, so to speak. I just don't have enough here to not only want to care about it, but enough to understand the story itself.
Admit it, you're a spy for the Shogunate, aren't you? I'll cut you down.
Now, with the Blade twin, I will admit that there is a really good character customization in the game, because you can change the appearance of your Blade twin in terms of how they look, hairstyles, some facial features. You could choose a male or female, and your Blade twin can also be male or female, whichever you choose. And I went with the female character. I wanted to experience this game as the badass female Ronin, similar to when I played Assassin's Creed Odyssey, choosing Cassandra as my character to have that badass Spartan warrior. And in here, you do have an option to change back to the opposite Ronin. You can go from male to female, female to male. If you go to your longhouse throughout the different maps that you can explore, that's pretty cool. And you can also change your appearance as well. Maybe you want to change your hair color for another part of the game, the hairstyle, that kind of thing. But aside from that, there's not much in the game that is really worth your time and energy. This being a Team Ninja game, of course, combat is where a majority of the focus would go. And honestly, combat could be better. It's still boring, and you do have this parry mechanic in the game where you would do what's called, I believe, is a blade flash is what they call it. I could be wrong, but you basically parry an enemy's attack perfectly, which will help reduce a majority of their ki energy, which will help you get that awesome kill. But you also have to be mindful of your ki energy, because that could leave you open for a massive attack as well. I did enjoy the idea of this key system where you're kind of trying to balance who can have the most key in the battle, or rather, can you maintain your key energy while reducing your opponent's key energy. And sometimes these fatal kills that you can do, they can be pretty cool, because the game is very bloody. There's decapitations and those type of things, and it's pretty awesome when it happens. But the combat does get old very quickly, in my opinion, even if you choose to switch to another AI character who's on the mission with you. They pretty much play the same as your character, just maybe a different weapon and a different sub-weapon. Aside from that, you only get 2 sub-weapons you can choose from, and you are not able to save various sub-weapons in different slots. For example, slot A would be rifle and bow and arrow, but slot B would be throwing stars and the little bomb item. But you can save multiple slots for your items for health and power-ups. So it's kind of weird they didn't do that for your sub-weapons as well. It would have made the experience much more better for combat, a bit more customizable to make your combat more exciting. With the parry system, yes, it is pretty cool when you can parry an enemy's attack perfectly, especially when they do one of their super attacks. They do tell you in the game you're better off dodging these attacks because they're very difficult to parry, but when you do, it is worth the risk. But the game's combat is a lot of parry, attack, dodge, maintain your key, use items, rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat. When it came to boss fights, majority of them, I found it easy to just use my rifle from a distance for a majority of the battle, and then when I ran out of ammo, go in with my swords to finish the fight. With the various different weapons you can choose, you do get 2 different choices that you can switch between. I stuck between a main sword and a dual wield katanas. I didn't really change it from there, other than choosing a stronger weapon on a mission I was having trouble getting through. But other than that, they do have a stance system as well, kind of similar to Ghost of Tsushima, but not as fleshed out in my opinion. Let me explain. So in Rise of the Ronin, you do have various stances that you can choose with your weapons, and they do allow you to have the advantage against an enemy that you are fighting. But they don't do a good job at explaining what each stance does, and what it is effective against. Whereas in Ghost of Tsushima, you know which stance is effective against which weapon type, and it's explained much more clearly in Ghost of Tsushima. For this game, you mostly have to look at either your enemy's health bar or your weapon icons to look for a little red or blue arrow, which will indicate if you are either at an advantage or a disadvantage. They could have done a much better job explaining this system, in my opinion. Now, stealth is a huge problem as well. Some enemies can't be stealth killed because they may be too strong, and I really hate games that do that. It kind of defeats the purpose of having a stealth system, when not every stealth enemy that you try to take down is an instant kill with your stealth kill, if that makes any sense. Some enemies can either see you instantly as if they have some amazing night vision, x-ray vision, and then some enemies are as blind as Stevie Wonder locked in the basement. Aside from that, there's not many stealth specific moves and techniques you can use other than throwing a lure to distract enemies, which kind of sucks. Your bow and arrow does take you out of cover, so it's basically pointless. And there is the grapple hook, which you can use to pull enemies from their spot and stealth kill them. And that's pretty cool, but aside from that, stealth is very boring and not worth it. Now, Traversal, there is a couple of options. You can run on foot, which if you're not in combat, you do have infinite stamina. You can ride on horseback, which I often forget that I have a horse I can ride on because the animation is just so terrible and ugly. and I just forget that it's there. You can also glide in this game and use your grapple to go on certain buildings and use it to continue your glide if there's certain, antennas on the building, or I guess like, part of the tower, or there's kites flying in the sky that you can use to continue your glide. But gliding is really crappy in this game. It's nothing similar to like Batman Arkham Knight, which I was really hoping for. If you use your grapple during the glide to maintain your glide going further, you're not going to get any more boost or any more height. You're just refilling your stamina so you can go a bit further, but eventually you're going to fall to the ground and have to either go on your horse or find another way to get back into the sky. Gliding was just a complete waste of time in this game, and it's very slow, and I just felt like it was a bit wasted in my opinion. And that sucks because gliding could be really fun if you do it right, especially with the grapple hook. I think the grapple hook in this game is pretty good. You can use it in combat. You can use it for your traversal. You're not going to be climbing buildings like Assassin's Creed, but you can climb some buildings, and the grapple is usable for some of these buildings. So that was pretty cool, and it could have done a lot more with it, in my opinion. Now, as I said before, the game is very, very ugly. I just can't really see myself playing a game for long periods of time that not only looks horrible, but performs horribly well. I really tried to finish this game, and I ended up forcing myself to play, but I was just getting more bored than I was not playing the game. And I had moments where the frame rate was dropping pretty low, or times where the game would completely freeze and my character would be stuck in the floor or invisible for like 10 seconds, and I couldn't do anything, and I would just get attacked by enemies, and I just couldn't move until it reset itself and got me back into combat. There's character models that don't even look that great. Their face looks really weird. There's NPCs who just disappear, or they're walking into walls endlessly. They are poorly done, poorly developed in my opinion, and I do not think this is acceptable for a $70+ game on a current gen console. And I think they could do a lot better, because it's not so much a situation of if it ain't broke, don't fix. It's more so of if you don't know how to do this, don't do it type of thing. They should have sought out some more help or resources, and I don't know what happened there, but the game just fails in so many aspects in my opinion. There is online co-op. I tried it a couple of times with random players from the internet. They joined the game, they played with me and helped me beat a mission. Nothing really crazy to explain there. They helped me with my, heal me when I'm down and take down an enemy. Other than that, you can't really explore the world with the players at all. It's just do the mission, you're done. Okay, find another team to play the next mission with if you want to. But it would have been cool to run around, the map with a friend. That would have been pretty cool to do, but that's not the case here. I think for your money, you're better off playing much better games, such as Final Fantasy VII Rebirth is a much better game in my opinion. You got Stellar Blade coming out in just a few days. You go play Ghost of Tsushima. You could probably get it a bit on sale, not $70, maybe a bit cheaper sometimes. Especially considering Ghost of Tsushima was a PS4 game at release and is now a PS5 game, and even on PS4, it looked better, performed better, is better than what this crap is. Do not waste your time or money on this dumpster fire of a game.